Hi, welcome to Rose Opal Knits, a crafty channel. My name's Erica and I'm here today for a 12 cast-ons of Christmas update video. So hey, how you doing? Welcome. If you are returning, thank you so much for choosing to come back and spend some more of your precious free time here. And if you're new, I hope you stick around if you like what you see and you consider subscribing. So today's episode is my 12 cast-on of Christmas updates. It is a make-along that was started by Ange of Yarn and Yarns. I will link her channel below. I first found out about it though from Carla of Carla Knits, and I will link her channel below as well. And it is something that Ange started, and the community just grew around it, and so now people cast on 12 or 12-ish new projects towards the end of the year, the beginning of the next year. I believe that Angela starts it on December 24th maybe, and it can go until the end of January. But when I first found out about it, Carla, when she was talking about it, she decided to start hers before Christmas, kind of like a countdown to Christmas, because she's a music teacher at a university, and it just worked with her schedule best. And I thought that it would be fun if I did the 12 cast-ons of Christmas, you know, based off of the first day of Christmas, you know. So that's what I did. I cast on one new project for 12 days. I don't remember if I had told myself that I would let myself have a break if I needed it, and I don't remember if I did need it or not, but the playlist for that is here on the channel, and if you're interested and you want to go back and watch it. But I wasn't inspired to come back and do an update video because I watched Carla's wrap up, and I've been watching Angela of Yarn and Yarns channel throughout the year, and she does vlogs and she does updates, and she's really good at like keeping you updated on her progress, and I'm not so good at that. But this is a channel that I co-host with my daughter-in-law Daphne, and she did take part in the 12 cast-ons, but she did it off the channel. She just showed them when we did our regular podcast episodes, where we show what we've been working on, what we finished, what we want to cast on, and then, but she didn't do her own separate videos. I have a tendency to pop on here from time to time, not very regularly, but I will, and just like discuss my plans or what I'm doing, because I feel like I want to like verbalize it and get it out there. It kind of helps me process my plans and you know, my thoughts and all that kind of stuff. So today is the update video because I want to start planning my next 12 cast-ons of Christmas for December of 2026. But before I can do that, I have to, you know, take a good look at what I cast on in December and early January, and make plans. I have only finished 3 of the 12 cast-ons, and technically it's 2 of the 12 cast-ons, because one of the days I cast on a project that I had planned to knit 2 identical items of, and I completed both of those items. But I will go into all of that. But before I get into all the details, I know I've already been talking for almost 5 minutes, but I just want to let you know that there are usually show notes below this video, and it lets you know where you can find me or Daphne, about our Discord group, our Ravelry names, just basic information. And if you have any questions, of course, leave a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But If you are new here, just a little bit about myself. I'm married to my high school sweetheart. We have 4 children, 3 boys. Holden is 30, Thomas is 23, and Ralph is 18. And we have a daughter, Mary Rose. She is 9. And then Daphne, my daughter-in-law, is married to my oldest, Holden, and they have 5 children, 1 dog, and they now have 2 cats. So that's just a little bit of background about the channel. We do regular, like 2 or 3 times a month. We call them podcast episodes, where we go over all the crafty things we've gotten into. So if you're new here, you might be interested in checking that out. Okay, so back to the 12 cast-ons of Christmas. I started on December 25th, Christmas Day, and I had pre-picked the 12 projects that I wanted to start, but I put them in a snowman jar, which oh, he's across the room. I'm not going to go over there. But I was going to say that I just keep in the craft room. And I randomly picked a project every day until the last day, or the last 2 days, because you only have 2 left. And then, but anyway, so the first project I picked, and there will be pictures on the screen of what the pattern name is, what the item was designed to look like, you know, the designer's vision, and the designer's name. So just to let you know that will pop, because I probably won't remember all of it, and so I won't verbally say it, but there will be pictures on the screen. So day 1, December 25th, I picked out of the snowman jar the Hazy Stripe Sweater by Camry Cutler. And it is using scraps and full skeins out of my stash. And I did get a start, because that's the whole point, right, of the knit along, is to get a start. And here is what I have currently on the needles. Now, this is a sweater, so it's not very far along, right? And I don't think that I revisited this one. Some of them I revisited and restarted. I should probably explain that. So just very briefly, in March, I was diagnosed with prediabetes. So my doctor and I had a long discussion. We figured some things out. I developed a new plan, and I've been on a health journey, and I've now lost a total of 33 pounds. So a lot of my new projects were sweaters, and I don't need the size that I originally cast on. And the goal is I still need to lose like 14 more pounds, 15 more pounds to be considered in the healthy range. I would like to, for the sake of my health. I mean, I have 5 grandbabies, and there's going to be more. I'm not saying from Holden and Daphne. I have other children. I mean, if there are, they're great. If they're not, great. It's just the way it is. But I want to live a long, healthy life. So that's why I'm on this health journey, and that's why weight loss is part of it. So I just didn't need the sizes that I originally cast on. So several of them have been restarted, and some of them have not been restarted. The Hazy Stripe Sweater is not one that I have restarted yet. So it will need to be restarted. But I am using a combination of this yarn and undyed yarn. This is what I'm calling my main color. And so this is undyed wool from like a wool warehouse type distribution place. And then this is, I always forget how to pronounce this, but I'll just show you the tag. It is a sock weight yarn, and it is I think it's a 75-25. It is 75 superwash wool, 25% polyamide, and the color is 1015 Costa Verde. So there's the tag again. And so those are my main colors, and then my contrast colors. This is a Knit Picks gray. I think it's ash. And then I have these two, which are Knits socks, yeah. And I'm not sure of the colors. They weren't the original contrast colors that I had first decided on when I pulled yarn for this project, but I was working part-time at my local yarn store and these were on sale. I think they were on sale, or maybe, I don't, maybe I just bought them because I wanted them. But this is the color Topaz, or maybe I already had this one. I don't know. I can't remember. And then this one is the color, ooh, Azurite. Azurite, Knit socks, yeah. So these are my contrast colors along with the Knit Picks Ash. And I'm not going to go into what my plan is currently for this sweater. I'll save that for the end, but it doesn't appear that I have touched it much since I first cast it on. So I've got all my projects back here and I'm just going to be pulling them and then dropping them down here. All right, so on December 26th, I cast on the Cozy Hearth Mittens by Dana Rae Makes for my daughter. And this project has had some progress since I cast it on. I am not doing the pattern. I'm using the numbers and the sizing for the mitts, but I'm not doing the Cozy Hearth patterning that's on the mitt. So I just refer to these as the cozy mitts. But here I have one finished, and since the last time I showed it in a podcast episode, I completed this part of the hand and the thumb. So I just have to get the second one cast on and finished, and I've promised her that these will be finished before the weather gets cold. So this yarn was a lone skein of, or lone ball of yarn that was on a shelf at the Yarn Maven, and I had to rescue it and bring it home. This is Lang Yarns Snowflake Multicolor in the color 113001. And it's, as you can see, it's like color changing, kind of rainbowy. So, and super soft, super soft. Now I can get it on my hand, and my daughter was like, Mom, it's a little big. And I was like, yeah, but it's a mitt. I said, and you don't like things that are tight. She was like, you're right, I don't. So I said, it'll work, don't worry. So this yarn is made up of, 47% cotton, 42% baby alpaca, 7% polyamide, and 4% wool. But so this is, I didn't tell you what needles I'm using. It's probably, I think it's US 9 is what I'm using, or US 10. But which is a 5.5 millimeter and a 6 millimeter. I think I'm using both for that one. Okay, next on December 27th, I cast on the Newport Classic Turtleneck by Marie Green, and I know that this one has not had any additional work done to it. And actually, I don't know if this is this project. I cast on 2 different sweaters by Marie Green during the course of the 12 days. And neither of them have really had any extra time devoted to them. Both patterns were out of this book by Seamless Knit Sweaters in 2 weeks by Marie Green, but I'm going to have to take a break and I'm going to have to check my pattern page. Sorry. All right, I was correct. So the Newport Classic Turtleneck is living in this bag by Random Fandom Bags on Etsy, and I cast it on out of the yarn I'm using is Barocco Vintage DK in the, I think it's mocha. Yep, 2103 mocha color. And it is still where it was after the first day. All right, so this one is definitely going to need to be revisited, but I'm going to discuss all that in plans. Right now, I'm just going over what I cast on which days. And when I get to one that is a finished project, I will let you know that one. All right, so on December 28th, I cast on Slice of Mosaic Scarf by Sweater Freak. And that lives in this bag by Carla Knits, who is the one who got me interested in the 12 cast-ons. All right. These are the yarns I'm using for this. I'm using Barocco Ultra Wool DK in the Black Pepper color, 83113. And then the other color is, where's the ball band? Is it in here? It is not. I know it's a Fiber Spates Botanicals DK weight. I believe the color is Elephant. Oh, I think it's right here. Fiber Spates Vivacious Botanical DK. Yes, color Elephant. 876. All right, so this one has had a little bit, well, it's had more forward progress on it than what I have right here to show, but I had to tink back. I had to tink back like 8 rows. So this is where I was when I picked it up, and then I knit like 8, well, like it's probably like 16 rows, but like 8 garter ridges. But it's a 4 pattern repeat, and I was only knitting the first 2. So now I'm back on track, and this is where it is currently. I am knitting this with a US 8 5mm needle. Feels weird to not talk about my plans as I'm like showing the project, but it'll all make sense if I just talk about the plans at the end. I think it'll make more sense. All right, and then on December 29th, I cast on the Springline Tee by Samantha Guerin, and I just recently pulled this one out and got it restarted. So this is the yarn I'm using. So this is now the correct size, or what I think is the correct size. This yarn is the Fiber Company Cumbria Fingering here, and the color is Appleby Castle. Okay. And I did actually just show this recently in our most recent podcast episode, but this is the recast on. It's got a little bit of lace on both sides. This is the back panel. And I am knitting this with a US 5, which is a 3.75mm needle. And I restarted it on July 19th, and I went down to the size 4 from a size 5. I am still using the same needles that I had originally cast it on. I just went down 1 size. And lives in this bag by Red's Lady Creates. Okay, And the next project that I cast on December 30th was the Douglas Cardi by Andrea Mowry, or Drea Renee Makes, and that is one of the finished projects. So I cast that on for my sister-in-law. I knit the smallest pattern size. I believed I used a US 8, which is a 5mm needle, and I will pop pictures on the screen of what it looked like when it was completed. I used Barocco Lanus, which is a worsted weight non-superwash yarn in varying colors of greens and browns or beiges, and I just loved it. My sister-in-law loved it, and she is the one modeling it in the pictures. So I completed that project. Like I said, I cast it on December 30th, and I finished it on, I don't know, because I didn't write it in my journal here. But I think it was in February sometime, February of this year, 2026. So yeah, I don't know. It was a fun project. It was my second Douglas Cardi. I had previously knit one for myself, and I could see knitting more of them, honestly. Not yet. I've got plenty to knit still, but I could see knitting another one or two in the future. So that is checked off. And so on December 31st, day 7, I cast on the Garden Cardigan by Anka Strict, and that lives here in this bag by White Rose Fiber Co. Let's see. I believe I pulled this out and looked at it, but I don't think I did anything to it. So I think it's where it was when I first cast it on. So it needs to be revisited, and I need to decide if I'm going to continue with it in the size that it is, or if I need to go down a size or a needle size. It's looking very, I don't know, I have to look at the gauge, but it's currently on a US 8, which is a 5mm needle, and this is all I have to show. Basically just what I did that first day I cast on, I think. Maybe. It does have a, is that a progress marker, or is that just marking the front? Probably, I don't know. Maybe I knit 2 additional rows. I can't remember. All right, this project is being knit out of Juniper Moon Farm Patagonia Organic Merino, and the color is Mustard 112. So there's that one. And on day 8, which was January 1st, I cast on the Stockholm Slipover, and that lives in this bag by Molly Klein Design. And it has had some progress. As a matter of fact, not only has it had progress, but it's also been recast on in a smaller size. So the original size that I cast on was the 2XL, which was designed to fit a 43 1/4 to a 47 1/4 inch chest. And I cast on with a US 8, which is a 5mm needle. But since then, I had completed 12 rows of it, and then I decided to recast it on, and I cast on the extra large size, and I went down to a US 6, which is a 4mm needle, because my gauge was off. as well. And the extra large size is designed to fit a chest circumference of 39.5 inches to 43.25 inches. So since I recast it on, I believe it was recast on in either June or July. I didn't write that down. I don't know why. I have made this much progress. And this is I think this must have been an earring. I don't know. Daphne gave it to me, and I used it on this project because it's lightweight, so it's not pulling on the fabric. But I've made, and here recently, within the last 2 weeks, I've made this much progress on it. So yeah, and I just love the way this yarn is knitting up. Now I am concerned that these stripes are gonna do something else when I get to like the body in the round, but I might just have to like helical knit and see what happens. I don't know. I'll decide that when I get there, but I love the way it's knitting up right now. This is a back panel and I'm actually almost done with it. The yarn that I am knitting this out of is Barocco Dulce, in the color Opal, which is 2009. And it is 50% cotton, 20% nylon, 16% alpaca, and 14% wool. Yeah, I like Barocco yarn. I use a lot of it. I feel like it's a nice yarn and it has a good price point, and my local yarn store, the Yarn Maven, you know, I'm sure they still sell it, but it's changed owners and I haven't been back in because I have a big yarn stash I'm trying to work down. So there's that project. So on day 9th, which is, let me make sure I have my dates right, January 2nd, I cast on the Grid Gambit. My notes. And that is here in this coffee bag by White Rose Fiber Co. And I haven't made any progress on it. I have pulled it out a couple times and looked at it and I thought, no, I'm not ready to pick this up yet. So it is still where it was the last time I showed it. But I am excited for it. And so I do have a plan for it. Look at that. That would drive Daphne crazy. But let me tell you about the yarn I'm using. The contrast color is this Zauberball Starka 6. And it is the color 2544 Late Autumn. Late Autumn Inspiration. I like that name. And then the main color is Juniper Moon Farms Patagonia Organic Merino in the color, let's see here, Pearl 117. So that's the main color, and it's like an off-white with a little bit of gray in it. I think the colors look really nice together. And I am currently knitting this with a US 8, which is a 5mm needle. I almost hit myself in the face. This is like an old Knit Picks acrylic tip. I don't think they make those anymore, but I've had it forever. So that is what that's what it's currently on now. I don't know if I will finish it with this needle or not, but when you have so many projects on the needles, you have to use the needles you have available. All right, so there's that one. And then on day 10, which was January 3rd, I cast on the Manhattan Vest. So the Manhattan Vest lives in this bag by The Last Lily Pad. And it is almost finished. Yay! I did modify this pattern And if you watch our regular podcast episodes, you know that I am not loving this yarn. I mean, I like this yarn. I like this yarn a lot. This yarn has been riddled with factory knots. And I missed a lot of them when I was caking it up. And I found some while I was caking it up, but then I missed a bunch of them. And since I was helical knitting, like once I got to the body, like it was just frustrating. But it's almost done. So I did modify this pattern. First, let me tell you about the yarn. The yarn is a Noro yarn, and it is the Kashiru Kuru in the color 95 Caramel. It is a 40% silk, 30% wool, 20% cashmere, and 10% polyamide yarn. I love this color. I love the feel of the yarn. I think it's gonna just like wash and block so nicely. I had 5 of these. I think they're 75-gram hanks. And I've used almost 3 complete hanks so far. I have 2 left. So this pattern is a vest or a slip over. And it is meant to have a split hem, long rib. I even think it's like high-low. I think the back is a little bit longer than the front, and I knew I didn't want that. I knew I didn't want that when I cast it on. It also gives you a crew neck and a turtleneck option. I knew I didn't want the turtleneck. So I'm gonna wear this like over a blouse or a button down. So I wanted it to be shorter. I still wanted it to have like longer than normal ribbing, but I didn't want the split hem, so I didn't do the split hem. But it is now, the body is now bound off, and the last time I showed it in a podcast episode, this is where it was. And then I did the neck, which is kind of sticking up funny, but I'm sure it'll block out fine. And I just have to pick up the ribbing on the sleeves and knit that, and then block it and weave in all the ends. So I am knitting this pattern out of a couple different sizes. Let's see here. Have notes. Here they are. When I first cast it on during the 12 days of Christmas, I cast on a size 4 with a US 8 5mm needle. When I recast it on, I had already completed 23 rows of the back when I decided to rip that out and cast it on. And when I recast it on, I cast on a size 3 with a US 7 4.5mm needle. So the body is knit out of a US 7 4.5mm needle, and the bottom ribbing is knit out of a knit with a US 6 4mm needle, and then the collar and the arm ribbing, so the collar was knit out of a US 5, which is a 3.75mm needle, and the arms will be knit out of the same. So I have lots of ends I will have to weave in for 2 reasons. I did helical knit, but also because of all the knots. Like, look at that down here. That was a knot. I mean, there's just a bunch of them. But let me show you what I came across last night while I was knitting the collar, the crew neck. In the 3rd round before I completed the collar, there was a knot, and I was so over it. I was like, you know what? This is 1x1 ribbing on a US 5. Maybe I can just knit that and it'll be on the inside, and I'll just go on with my merry self and leave that knot. I don't usually leave factory knots because I didn't tie them myself and I don't want them to come apart. I still am kind of nervous about it, but it's the collar. I can always just rip it out and reknit it. But I did leave it, so it is there. You know, if you want to like see the proof of it. But yeah, it It fits really well. I like the way it fits. I can't wait to see it over the top. I already have a top to wear over it, so I don't have to buy anything. I mean, to wear under it, so I don't have to buy anything new. And yeah, I'm just excited to have it finished, and then for the weather to cool down so I can wear it this fall. So there's that. And the yarn really is soft, and I really do like it. I just didn't like all those knots. Let me know in the comments, what do you do when you come across a factory knot? Do you just keep on knitting and leave it there, or do you, like, you know, cut it out and, you know, end and start? That's what I usually do. Does it depend on the project or where it's located? Like I really am curious. I'd like to know what you do. All right, so then for day 11, which was January 4th, I cast on the Almost Basic Cow, which is a free pattern that I wrote that's on the RoseOpalknits website, the blog section. We have a couple free patterns there. We have a few free patterns there. But the Almost Basic Cow, this is the one that I had pre-planned to knit 2 of. So I had yarn to knit the Almost Basic Cow for my father, and then different yarn to knit another Almost Basic Cow for my son Thomas. Both of them have been completed, and I don't have a great picture of the cow that I knit for my father, probably because I blocked it and got it right in the mail and didn't even think about taking a picture. And then I actually have a not so great picture of the cow that I knit my son too, because I think I took it before it was blocked. But I do have some information about both of those projects. I finished my father's Almost Basic Cow on January 29th, and I used Laine Denord Poema Cashmere. The needles I used were a US 8 5mm and a US 9 5.5mm needle. I did write down my thoughts of the yarn. The yarn is soft, but I do not enjoy knitting with it. And you'll have seen that not so great picture on the screen while I talked about it. Okay, and then when I finished that, I cast on my son Thomas's Almost Basic Cow, and his was knit with Barocco Vintage worsted weight, and I used a US 8 5mm needle and a US 9 5.5mm needle for his, and I am a lover of the Barocco Vintage line, so it was a pleasure to knit that cow for him. So his picture will have been up on the screen as well. All right, and the last project for the 12 cast-ons of Christmas was the Other Marie Green sweater out of this seamless knit sweater in 2 weeks. It is called the Pebble Bay. Let's see, the full name is the Pebble Bay Simple Pullover. And I have not touched it since I first cast it on. Here it is. Oh. It's currently with Knit Picks needles on a US 7 4.5mm needle. The yarn is Barocco Vintage DK in the color Ruby 21181. All right. So it lives in this bag by Susan of Delightful Works. Her shop is listed below in the show notes for sure. I do know that. Okay, so that's all 12 projects. The ones that I finished, the ones I made progress on, the ones I haven't touched. So now let's get into my plans, because it's the end of August. I'm looking towards, you know, the last 4 months of the year. I'm looking towards my next 12 cast-ons of Christmas, because I'm going to do it. I am a, you know, a multi-whip person. I have lots of whips. Even though sometimes I go through more monogamous knitting periods, I still don't mind having a bunch of whips on the needles. Eventually, one day, I see myself becoming a like 2 to 3 project type gal without a stash, and I just finish those projects and go get what I need for the next few projects. But it's not yet. That's not yet. So what are my plans? How am I going to get through these 12 projects? Because as you can tell, most of them are not finished. So the first plan of action is the Manhattan vest. My goal is to have this finished by the end of August. I mean, you just saw it. I just have the ribbing on both the sleeves. The ends need to be woven in, and it needs to be blocked, and it'll be fully finished. So that is my goal. By September 1st, the Manhattan vest will be completed, and it'll be ready to wear when the weather starts to cool down. Then the next plan that I have is, once this is finished, my next plan is to finish 3 more of my 12 cast-ons of Christmas by October 1st. So those are this one, and this one, and this one. Okay, these 3 projects. I am going to cast on the second mitt, the Cozy Hearth mitt for my daughter in the rainbow yarn, if you'll remember, and get those finished so that she can have them once the weather starts to cool down. So this will be a finished project by October 1st. My Stockholm slipover, I'm planning to have it finished by October 1st. I'd love to have it finished before that, because currently Daphne and I are hosting a Slipping Through the Summer make-along in the Discord group, and so I'd like to have it finished by the end of that make-along. But I only have the back panel done, and I have other plans too that include projects that aren't part of the 12 cast-ons of Christmas. So October 1st is like, it's got to be done by October 1st. But if it's finished by the first day of autumn, that's even better. So Stockholm slipover, that's going to be finished by October 1st. And then the last project I have scheduled in my plans to finish by October 1st is my Slice of Mosaic scarf that I just talked about not too long ago. Now that I have figured out the pattern repeats, hopefully I won't make any more mistakes, and it'll just be, you know, a quick, cozy knit, and then that'll be ready for cooler, crisper days. So those are 4 finishes. Then I have plans to focus on finishing 3 more by November 15th. Both of the Marie Green sweaters, the Pebble Bay and the Newport Classic Turtleneck, like I said, they're out of this book, the Seamless Knit Sweaters in 2 weeks. All right, now she does say in the beginning of the book that like that 2 weeks time frame comes from focus, like focusing on the project, the sweater, and devoting X amount of hours a day, depending on your speed, to the sweater. So what I want to do is, once I finish the Stockholm slipover, immediately pick up one of those projects, either the Pebble Bay or the Newport Turtleneck. I haven't decided which yet. The brown is kind of calling me more than the red. although I like both of them, but we'll see. And then look at it, look at my numbers, see if I need to restart in a smaller size or if I can just pick up where it is and then just move. I probably am going to need to restart it. That's why I haven't even really paid attention to it. And then focus on that project as much as I can, because I generally can't focus just on one project, and try to get it knocked out in 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. And then once I finish the one, immediately pick up the next one and focus on it. And then that will get them towards their goal of both being finished by November 15th. And then the third project that I would like to have finished by November 15th is the Grid Gambit by Samantha Guerin. And so my plan for this one is, once I finish the slice of mosaic scarf, pick this one up as like my next neck scarf project for me that I'm focusing on. I do have a scarf that I am knitting for my son. It's not part of the 12 cast-ons, but that does need to be finished before it gets cold again. So that's just another project I'll be focusing on. But this one will get put into the slice of mosaic scarf knitting time spot. And then hopefully my plan is to have it finished by November 15th. There's that. Then at that point, I will only have 3 of my 12 cast-on projects left. Right? So that doesn't sound too bad. They are all 3 sweaters. Well, 2 are sweaters. One's a tee. One's a pullover sweater, one's a cardigan, and the other one's a tee. So how am I going to tackle 3 sweaters before the start of the next 12 cast-ons of Christmas? I'm not. I don't plan to finish all 3 of those. My first goal is to, once I finish the 2 Marie Green sweaters, pull out this hazy stripe sweater and make it a sweater focus for me. And then I put that I would like to have it finished by December 23rd, before the start of the 12 cast-ons of Christmas. I don't know how realistic that is, considering that I have multiple sock projects that I need to finish before the Christmas time, even some like by the end of November. So, you know, and I have other projects, like I said, a scarf for my son, a couple other, another slip over project that I want to finish complete sometime in that time frame. So, but this is, I wrote it down in my plans. Like I would love to have this one finished by December 23rd, before the start of the next 12 cast-ons starts. So that brings me down to 2 unfinished 12 cast-on projects. And I don't have a goal to finish them by the end of the year or by the start of the next 12 cast-ons of Christmas. I just wrote here that I would like to make more progress on both of them before December 31st. Or by December 31st. And so those final 2 projects that I'm talking about are my garden cardigan by Anka Strick, I think that's what it is, and the Springline Tee by Samantha Guerin. And so the reason why I'm not going to focus on the Springline Tee is because it is a tee, and we're moving into colder weather months. So the tee, I feel like it can wait. It can wait till the new year, and then I can make it a focus in the new year to get it done by spring. The garden cardigan is a lacy eyelid cardigan. I just feel like it's just going to take a longer time to finish that one because it's going to take more concentration. So I don't really have a set date to finish that one. I do want it. So it's not like I'm going to give up on it, but I'll finish it when I finish it, type of thing. So that's it. That is my plan. I'd like to finish out the year with 10 finishes. 10 days of Christmas finishes, 11 total finishes, and then carry two into the next era, the next year. And then, of course, I'll have 12 more cast-ons. Now, I could easily cast on 12 sweaters in the cast-ons of Christmas for this year. Because, like I said, I worked at a yarn store for a little while, and I have a nice size stash right now. But my thoughts on that are, I don't think I'm going to, even though I could, because I want to be a little bit more realistic in my 12 cast-ons of Christmas. I think I'm going to try to make it a little bit more varied, and maybe include some socks, maybe include a couple hats, like projects that people want, that I'm not always drawn to, because what I'm really drawn to are sweaters. Like, I just want to work on sweaters. But yeah, so I'm in the planning stage of the next 12 cast-ons of Christmas. But I've got time. I don't have to decide that now. Like I said, everything's going to be pulled from stash. I'm not going to buy anything new for those 12 cast-ons. So I think I might include like some more tees or slipovers. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see. I'll let you know when it comes to that time. But that is my plan. If you made it this far and you watched it, I really appreciate it. Tell me which one you want to see me, like, you're most excited, if you don't mind. I mean, you don't have to do anything I say, but you know, if you'd like to let me know which project you're most excited about, like, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And as always, I know this channel is a collab between myself and Daphne, so I always appreciate it if you choose to spend some time with just me. Just because I know a lot of people are here for the both of us, like the dynamic we have together when we talk about things. So if you watch this, I totally appreciate it. And I do have I do have a couple more videos planned where it's just going to be me. I'm going to do a sweater try on, because I've got some knitted sweaters that are too big, and I'm going to pull them out, and I've got plans for some of the yarn. Some of the yarn's just going to go back in the stash, and then I have a couple plans for some of the yarn, not right away, but you know, soon enough at some point. So I've got that, and then I want to do like a cross stitch whip parade, because I kind of want to pivot with my plans that I had earlier in the year about my cross stitch. I don't know. All right. That's it. And if you're wondering why my house is so quiet, it's because my son and not my son. Well, my one son is hanging out with his fiance. My other son is at work. And my husband and my daughter are out thrift shopping together. That's like a thing they do together. They go out thrift shopping. So I had some free time, and it was perfect. Daphne and I will be back next week with a regular podcast episode. So I'll see you then. Bye.